While we're doing that, good morning. Happy Thursday, June
Mhm.
13th, almost halfway through June. I can't believe it.
It is insane. It is flying by.
And I think if I remember right, we had 11 sales on Monday, 21 on Tuesday, and 11 yesterday. So we're at 43 sales, 44 sales in the first 3 days of the week. Can't wait to see what today brings. And they say the market's soft. I don't get it.
No, no.
I don't get it.
All right,
So I sent out a note to the team that affordability is becoming a real issue in our state. And people keep moving here, but they need places to live. And if you think about affordability, apartments, have you looked at the apartments around here and what they cost?
They're insane.
Well, you just bought a house from us, didn't you?
I did, yeah. And we've been looking for about a little over a year. And we were kind of going back and forth on, do we want to buy a house? Because we have two kids, so we're trying to figure out the best option too for the family. So should we buy a house, or should we were living in an apartment at that time, so we were like, should we just rent again? And looking at the rent prices at an apartment, we're paying the same month or the same amount in mortgage right now. So it was like, okay, so we're gonna be living in a smaller space, we're gonna be back in an apartment, we still have to move, and we're gonna pay the same exact that we're going to pay if we were just to buy this house.
I've got
So
to correct you though. You're not paying the same amount.
well, and that's what I'm trying. See, and I like tell my husband this all the time because he doesn't understand real estate. He doesn't know anything about it. He's in like HVAC commercial, so he's got no idea. And when because he was leaning more towards renting, and I was like, why? We can own something that's ours, and then in a couple years we're gonna have equity. We're putting our money into something that's not ours. We have nothing in this apartment. Like, we should buy a house so we have something that's ours, and then we'll gain something from it. Eventually we'll have equity, and we can use that to buy our forever home. And having an agent who can explain it to him and make him understand it was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Our agent.
Plus, and I can't wait to, I know you well enough to know that you're going to really enjoy home ownership.
Yeah.
Planting
Yeah.
flowers in the yard, painting the bedroom walls, doing the things
Yes.
that you want to do, changing the flooring, it all comes. But I think when you talk about the affordability of what we're talking about, home ownership makes sense because you get to deduct your interest, deduct your property taxes, deduct your insurance, and you have income that you pay taxes on. So you get to lower your income. So your payment is actually far less owning a home. And that's why the United States does this. They want to promote home ownership.
Yeah. 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 It's
So,
exciting.
cool. So anyway, so affordability has become an issue, and a normal house now is $400,000. That's crazy. A couple of years ago, I mean, I remember my mom and dad bought my grandmother a house on the water in Apollo Beach for $80,000.
Now it's probably over $1 million.
It's pretty close to $1 million now, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, so mobile homes are an affordable option.
They are, yes. And Sydney is our mobile home expert. She works for our affiliated business partner here she's under Florida Agency Network. She's just in another department. And she knows all about mobile homes. Sydney, is your audio working?
It is. Can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can.
Perfect. All right.
So let me get my screen shared. And share. Here we go.
Working.
All right.
Enable editing, you're good to go.
All right, Sydney, if you want to take it away.
And
All
right now,
right. Awesome.
55 people online, which is not bad for a mobile home discussion.
Yes.
But it's still really, I don't know much about mobile homes. We have a mobile home license, dealer's license, because they are in many cases considered to be a motor vehicle, right? But I guess Sydney's going to talk about the RP designations and all those things. So take it away, Sydney.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Sydney Deverly, and I am the manager here at Network Transaction Solutions. Like Megan said, we're one of the affiliate companies with Florida Agency Network, and we are here for all things mobile homes. We love them, the good, bad, and ugly, whether it's an easy transaction from seller to purchaser, or whether you have a mobile home where the owner is 3 owners back. 2 of them are deceased, and you've got probates involved and all sorts of things. we love tracking those people down and figuring out what we need to do to get them transferred over. So today we're going to talk about a couple of different things.
Well, let's be real clear from the beginning. We're talking about mobile homes on land or mobile homes without land.
So we're talking about mobile home transfers in general, whether they're real property or not.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
yep. So whether they are um, on real property, whether they are on a vacant land that you've put a mobile home, it's not real property yet, how you can do that, or whether it's in a co-op and you can't retire it, it's not real property, different things like that. So we're talking about the overall scope of how we can get those mobile homes transferred, the different things that we can do with them, how to identify what type of mobile home it is. Um, let's see here. Megan, can you go ahead and go to the next page? Perfect. All right. So we're talking about why it's important to know if there's a mobile home, retired mobile homes. I know a lot of lenders are requiring that we retire them prior to closing now or at closing. And we're going to go over the reason why they're wanting to do that. Transferring the mobile home titles. What if the titles are lost? How are you going to get them? And then preparing for closing when there's a mobile home on the property. Did that answer a little bit of the question?
Yeah, it does. I just want to call out for
Okay.
attention that, we have a lot of agents that delve into mobile homes once in a while, and it
Right.
really is a different process. You're
Right.
dealing a DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, you're transferring titles. I mean, there's so much more restrictions and work on the agent to do for a mobile home closing if they're not using a company like yours.
Right.
So I think it's
And I did just
refreshing to see that you guys will do this for us.
absolutely. And I did just see something come through about manufactured homes. So yes, I am going to cover the difference between manufactured and mobile homes.
Perfect.
All right, so next page. Okay, so is there a mobile home on the property? So there's a bunch of different ways that you can kind of see if there is a mobile home. There are certain times where no matter how hard we look, it's almost impossible to know if there's going to be a mobile home on the property. But these are some really good ways to look. So one of the ways that we will look to see if there's a mobile home is looking at your prior policies or the chain of title. So all the deeds in the chain, a lot of times there will be clues to the fact that there's a mobile home on the property in those deeds and in the legal description itself, where they will list it as part of the legal description. So it'll say along with that certain mobile home title, VIN numbers, all of that. And I'm going to have examples of these as well. You can also look at other recorded documents such as declarations or plats. You can look at the subdivision names, that'll give you a clue sometimes, surveys, or the property appraiser websites. Okay, so go ahead
So
and go
just
to
to
the
be
next.
more clear on that, so you're saying that a piece of property may have had a mobile home on it, it's been removed, but it's still on title that there's a mobile home there.
Right, it could have been removed and it hasn't been recorded as such. So your last deed might have a mobile home on there, but it may have been recorded since that deed was recorded. And we can go in, with our information that we have and kind of verify that and see. But just to somebody looking at a deed, it might be misconstrued and it might not be 100% accurate.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, so, all right, Megan, 2 slides up. Or I'm sorry, no, nope, you're on it, you're good. Okay, so the chain of title. So this is an example of looking at a warranty deed. I kind of put it in the red square there so you can see together with year, make, model of the mobile home. It's got a title number, RP number. This is a perfect scenario. We can get the information for the mobile home that is supposedly on the property off of this, and we can plug in that information into the DMV's database and find out exactly what's going on with that mobile home. Even, and just as an example on this one, so even if it only had the RP number, or say there wasn't a mobile home on here, but or a mobile home information on the deed, but there's a mobile home on the property, if you could get the RP decal number, which we'll go into this more later, we can actually search the entire mobile home and find the VIN, the title number, whether it's real property, if the titles are retired, whose name they're in, everything we would need to know, we can find that in the RP decal as well.
RP stands for real property, by the way,
Real property decal, yes.
because a mobile home is a vehicle unless you have to declare it as real property. and you can't depreciate it or write it off for taxes if it's not real property.
Right. All right, next page, Megan, please. Okay, so here's an example of a plot or a declaration that might include the mobile home. So this is an example of a plot where it's actually a mobile home park, and you can very clearly see where you would normally see kind of the images of a single family residence or a larger home. These are the long rectangular mobile home shape, and they actually say M.H on them. So you can see right there that, okay, this is going to be a mobile home. So that's another way that you might be able to tell that there's a mobile home on the property. Next page. Okay, and then another example is a subdivision name. So if these are sometimes common sense, sometimes not, but for example, if you have Sundial Mobile Home Park, chances are you're going to have a mobile home that you're dealing with. Floral Village Mobile Home Park. We have some here that are Community Homes Park. A lot of times when it's Homes Park or like in a
Park.
estate, yeah, just kind of be aware and in the back of your mind, be like, oh, this might actually, be a mobile home park or something like that. Chances are, if you're selling the property or you're dealing with the property, you're going to know if that subdivision is a mobile home park already. But this can give an example. A lot of mobile home subdivisions in our areas are 55 and older communities. So if you have a 55 and older community, or there might be something that you're hearing that there might be age restrictions or anything like that, check into it, see if if it is a mobile home park. That might be a clue that you're going to be dealing with a mobile home. All right, next one, perfect. And then on the property appraiser, so this is not always 100% correct, because going back to what we were talking about a minute ago, where there might have been mobile home information on the deed and then it was removed since that deed was recorded, and it might not reflect correctly on there now. Same with property appraiser, but for the most part, the property appraiser is a really great clue to what you're dealing with. So the DOR code that I have highlighted right there, sometimes it's usage code or use code, property type. Every county, the property appraiser will have it put in there a different way. But if there is a mobile home on the property and they have that registered, it's going to show mobile home normally, I would say 95% of the time, as the usage code for the property, instead of where it would sometimes say commercial or church or single family residential or vacant residential. It's going to show mobile home or MH on it.
Are you going
Right.
to talk about co-ops as well at some point?
So I do have a little bit on co-ops. We don't deal with co-ops all the time. But yes, I do have some information on them and certain things you can and cannot do with a co-op.
Okay. So hold on.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking to me.
Nope.
All right. So knowing the difference. So this is where the differences between mobile homes, manufactured homes, and then modular and prefabricated homes come in. A lot of times people will use these terms interchangeably, but they are not. So, all right, go ahead to the next screen. Okay, so a mobile home is defined as a dwelling structure built on a steel chassis and fitted with wheels that is intended to be hauled to a usually permanent site. The construction on the mobile home must comply with building codes set up by the HUD, and mobile homes are regulated by the HSMV because they are designed to travel on public highways, which is why we have those titles and that they're having to be transferred just like you would a vehicle when they're going from owner to owner.
A VIN number.
Yep, and a VIN number. All right, so manufactured homes. So a mobile home built on or after June 15th, 1976, which is built to new and higher safety standards, is going to be known as a manufactured home. So all manufactured homes are considered mobile homes, but not all mobile homes are considered manufactured homes. It's only a manufactured home if it was built after June 15th, 1976. So that's the difference between mobile and manufactured.
And there's a benefit to manufactured homes now because they're built inside of inside of factory. So the wood never gets wet, the trusses never get wet, they don't get warped, they do all kinds of things, and they're put together by machines, and they're very accurate. So they're not bad houses.
Right, exactly. So, and they're built to those better safety standards because they put all of those into effect. All right, next page. Oh, never mind, you're already there. Sorry, you're ahead of me. All right, so modular homes. So modular homes are the difference. So when you're dealing with a modular home, there's not going to be a title number or a VIN number. There's not going to be those titles to transfer between owners. So a modular home, also known as a prefabricated home, is treated the same way as a traditionally built home. So it's not built on the integral chassis or undercarriage for travel and doesn't require the titles to be issued. And then there are prefabricated sections, which are called modules, and they're built in a factory separately and then moved to a home site. And you can basically take normally it's with a crane, but they take these different modulars that somebody can pick out, put them all together, and then place them however they want them, and then join together. And basically, it's considered a single family home after that point. So they are not a mobile home at all. So you have mobile home, you have manufactured homes, which are after June 1976, and then you have modular homes, which are something totally different.
Hey, Sydney, there's a question in the chat. So a double home is a mobile home.
By double, do you mean if it's a double wide mobile home? Like there's two sides to it?
Michael, do you mean
I
a
think
double
that's the
wide?
question.
So if that is the question, it doesn't matter whether it's a single wide, double wide, triple
Yes.
wide, or so on. If it was, so a mobile home
It's
can be,
transported over the road. So if it's two parts, one side's going to be open and visqueen shut, and then the second unit will be behind it. And then they get on site, they stick them together.
put them together, right?
Triple wide, it'll
And
have two sides open, one side closed, and they stick them together. But it's designed to travel over the highway.
yes, we have actually, and I saw one just come through where they said there's triple wides. We've actually seen a quadruple wide. We've seen one that had four. So they get big and extravagant. With the no matter how many sides there are to it, the mobile home and the modular home are still going to be a mobile home that has titles that need to be transferred. So yes, I hope that answered your question. If not, let me know and I can go back to it.
One more question. Nancy asked, is that like a steel crate home, modular? They look commercial.
So they
That's
can
like a
be,
whole different animal.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, they've got different types. We don't deal with modular homes very often, so I'm not extremely versed in them. But if you have questions, I can definitely get you more information on them. And I'm gonna have my contact information, and then you also have Megan's. So if you have any questions on those, just send us an email and I can get you any information you need because I would have it from the same sources. We just don't deal with them as often. All right, so how do you know whether you're dealing with a mobile home versus a manufactured home or a modular home? So titles must be transferred for a non-retired mobile or manufactured home, but not for a modular home. And then until you have evidence to prove you're dealing with a modular home, you should always assume that it's a mobile or manufactured home. That way, if there are titles to be transferred, you know that they're going to be transferred and they're going to be going to the new purchaser and it doesn't get left behind.
Let me just
If
clarify that because we're talking about titles like a title to a car versus a deed to real estate, right?
Right. Yes, and a lot of people don't realize the difference in that. So when there's a mobile home on the property, not only do you have to transfer the property via deed, you also have to transfer those titles if they haven't been retired, which we'll go over that and what that is later. But if they have not been retired to the land, those titles, in addition to the deed being recorded, have to be transferred through the state of Florida to the new owner for them to actually have ownership of the mobile home.
And taxes are paid on that transfer of that title.
Right, yes. All right, so if the building has a data plate or a VIN, oh, okay, it is a mobile or manufactured home because your prefabricated homes and modular homes are not going to have a VIN number. Modular homes well, right there, they don't have the data plate or the VIN. And then on the next page, we have an example of a data plate, and I'm going to kind of talk about what that is. So if you are looking for the VIN number or serial number for the mobile home, or trying to confirm that it is a mobile home and not a prefab home, you can always look for the data plate. So your data plate is going to be a pretty much weatherproof piece of paper that is typically going to be inside of a cabinet, whether in the bathroom or the kitchen. That's where they're normally put when the mobile home is first built. And it's going to have all the identifying information for the mobile home. Megan, if you'll go to the next page, I've got an example of one. Perfect. All right, so this is one here. It shows the heating and cooling information. It shows where the mobile home was built. It shows all of that different information there, including a serial number, which we can use to look up the other identifying information that we would need for the mobile home. These are not always there. There are times when a mobile home is rebuilt or there's construction done on it. They redo the kitchen and take out the cabinets that were originally there and don't put it back in. So it's not a surefire way to know, but if you see this in the mobile home, then you know it's a mobile home. All right, next page. Okay, so VINs. So all mobile and manufactured homes are going to have a VIN number. So each section, 8-foot minimum width, has a VIN number. So this goes back to the single wide, double wide, triple wide. So if you have a single wide mobile home, you're going to have one VIN number in one title. If you have a double wide mobile home, you're going to have two VIN numbers and you're going to have two titles that have to be transferred. And then so on with a triple wide would have three titles, three VIN numbers.
And a VIN is a vehicle identification number, just for clarity.
Yes, it is. The best way to identify a VIN is with a copy of the title or registration or locating it on the mobile home itself. So we can try to obtain the VIN and other mobile home information by searching the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles online database using the real property decal number or the title numbers if you have them. If you guys don't have a VIN number, the clients don't have a VIN number, and we don't have any paperwork that shows any of the mobile home information, it can sometimes be found on that data plate, but we can also look at the mobile home itself. So a lot of times the VIN is going to be found on that steel front beam across the cross member under the home. So basically where you would hook it up to a trailer hitch to carry it down the road if you were going to do so. Um, there's a plate there, a VIN plate, and it's going to have that VIN number information on it. A lot of times that is extremely difficult to get to because once the mobile home is on a piece of property, there's usually skirting over it. You're going to have to crawl down underneath of it, find it. Sometimes it's an older mobile home and it's barely readable, if readable at all. So in that case, there are certain ways that you can go about. We did have a number for somebody with the property appraiser that would go to the site of the mobile home and actually certify the VIN number. They just stopped doing that. So we're in the process of finding another either company or another source that will go out to a mobile home for you guys. And as soon as I have a new contact for it, I can provide that to Megan to send over to you guys because that can be very, very helpful. They will send someone out. They're going to do all the digging under the mobile home, find that VIN number, certify it, and then have it with the DMV as well so that it's on record that that happened. All right, next page.
You got a question about
There.
removing the
Yeah.
tongue and the axles from the mobile home.
What's the question on them though?
There was a question about removing the tongue, the trailer hitch, and the axles, because some mobile homes the wheels are removed.
So it's the steel beam chassis that's right up underneath of it. If it's removed, then that's a case where you're most likely going to have to get with HUD for them to try to identify the mobile home.
There
We
are.
have. Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry, Cindy. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. We have seen some where there's just no way of us knowing the mobile home VIN. They sent somebody out, they couldn't even find it. This was likely a case like that where everything had been removed. And we have a contact number for that I can send out as well, where you can get with HUD and they will be able to go in, and I guess they have other information that they're able to find it on their end with, and confirm the mobile home information.
There are a few more questions. Rachel asked, what about converted shipping containers? Since they just get loaded onto railroad cars, wouldn't they have they wouldn't have VINs, would they?
So I do not have an answer to that at this time. If Megan, if you want to keep that question for me, I can get an answer on that. We don't deal with the shipping containers and things like that, so I am not 100% certain, and I don't want to give you wrong information, but I can definitely get it for you.
Okay, and then there is another one. My listing has a double wide permanently fixed to land with a standard roof and attached patio and separate HVAC unit. I don't know that that was a question. That may have just been a comment from Michael.
Michael also
Well,
has,
and
go ahead.
so even if it's permanently affixed to the land and if it is real property, it doesn't mean that there aren't any titles. And we're gonna go back to that in just a little bit, where I talk about retired mobile home titles versus real property for a mobile home, because they are two different things. With tiny homes, I just saw that question come through as well. With tiny homes, we have not had any transfers come over with tiny homes. A lot of the time they are
If they're
put onto a
cited,
property in single.
the real estate.
Yeah, they come over, they're single family. If it was built on a trailer and it was built as a small mobile home, there is gonna be a title number, and we can look into that for you guys. We have had some instances where somebody will send us over a VIN number and it does end up being a tiny home. It would be transferred the same way as a mobile home. We would be able to go down. It's more of transferring it as a trailer because they're built on a trailer. Um, but that is how a lot of times those are done. All right, next page. Did I miss any questions? Were there any more, Megan?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. All right, so why is knowing there's a mobile home on the property important? So a mobile home shall be considered permanently affixed if it is tied down and connected to the normal and usual utilities. If there's a permanently affixed mobile home on the property that an agent has insured, they have also insured the title to that said mobile home unless there's an exception on the commitment or the policy. So if there was a defect in the title of the mobile home, it could result in a major claim coming back. For example, if the home was sold, or the property was sold, there was an owner's policy issued on it after the closing. There was a mobile home on there, but nobody ever knew about it, and only the real property was transferred with the deed, and the mobile home was not real property. That mobile home is still in the prior owner's name, and it never got transferred to your buyers. So they don't own the mobile home that's sitting on the land that they purchased. They only own the land.
Mike did have a question. I have heard that if it's older than 1976, it cannot be moved and it has to be demoed on site. Is that true?
I believe that is true. We also don't do, we normally do the transfers. We don't deal with the demos. We can unretire them for the demos. But as far as the date, I'm not 100% sure. That's another question that you can give to Megan, and I can get all of these out in an email to you guys.
Okay.
All right, so on the title commitment, we are determining insurability. So is the mobile home in the current seller's name? Do they have the rights to sell it? We're making sure that if there are mobile home requirements, that they're going to be taken care of prior to the property being sold and insured. Again, if there is a mobile home on the property, we don't know about it, then it's not gonna be transferred and it's not gonna be in the new buyer's name. They can't do anything with it. If they wanted to remove it, they couldn't remove it. If they wanted to sell it, they couldn't sell it because they don't have the right to do that in the future. So it's gonna come back as a claim. All right, next page.
Carla just asked interesting things that Prior to 1976, mobile homes have to be purchased as cash. They're not necessarily insurable or financeable. Prior to 1976 was 48 years ago. I'll just do the math. That's an old mobile home.
Yeah.
There's no value left in it. So it's
Yeah.
not going to be insurable, and it's probably not going to be financeable.
And we don't see a lot of those earlier mobile homes anymore. Every once in a while, most of the mobile homes we're dealing with are 1980s forward. All right, so another reason why it's important to know if there is a mobile home on the property is the possibility of claims. So the most common reason for claims is due to the fact that we didn't realize there was one on the property and it needed to be transferred. So an example would be, and this is also why this leads into why a lot of lenders are wanting the mobile homes retired prior to the sale being done or prior to them issuing the loan. So if we are insuring a property where there's a mobile home on it and there's a mortgage, if the mobile home is left off of the legal description, it doesn't get included. Nobody knows that there was a mobile home. The mobile home isn't in the loan holder's name. It's not in the name of the owner of the property. And then the owner defaults on payments and the property goes to foreclosure. The certificate of title is issued to a third-party bidder at the foreclosure sale, and the mobile home wasn't included on anything because the mobile home wasn't on the legal, it wasn't included on the deed, it wasn't in the legal description. So there's no identifying information throughout the entire foreclosure for the mobile home. And even if they wanted to go back and take claim to the mobile home, they can't because it's not even owned by the person that they're foreclosing against. So all of the collateral and all of the funds in the mobile home, that lender is going to lose if the owner defaults on their payments and it goes to foreclosure. They're just out of luck on it. So they're wanting those mobile homes retired because once a mobile home is retired, it is part of the land. It's going to transfer with the deed. You don't have to do any title transfers, and I'll go into more of this in a little bit, but you don't have to do any of that. It is treated as pretty much a single family residence on a property that you would sell just like any other home once it's retired.
That makes me think of something. There's a lot of investors who buy property tax deeds, and they're great investments typically, but there's no title insurance when you buy them. So you really have to do due diligence. So if you're bidding on a piece of vacant land, and that vacant land may or may not have had a mobile home on it in the past, you would want to make sure that title has been retired or that the title transfers with you.
Right,
So
exactly. And
investors who are doing stuff like that, it's risky when you're buying stuff like that.
well, and with tax deeds, mobile homes typically do not transfer. They are not included with a tax deed. There are a couple counties in the state of Florida, Polk being one of them, Polk County, where they will actually include a document with their tax deed docs on the clerk site that shows that a mobile home is real property and is included with the sale. They are the only county that I know of that goes that far with it. We have an investor that purchases homes in Polk County via tax deed and foreclosure. And if there's a tax deed home that's being sold, that's the first thing we're looking at, because if they don't have that piece of paper there and it's not acknowledged by the county, there's no way that we can go back and fight to get that mobile home included and transferred to the owner or the purchaser of the tax deed. So they can become a huge liability.
Hey, Cindy, there are a few questions. The first one says, I have a listing coming up with two mobiles on one parcel. One is 1970 and one is 1980. I assume this would be a cash only deal unless the land was divided, separating the two.
So that would be something that you guys would handle on the real estate side
So
as
that may be
far
a
as
question for Craig.
yeah.
I'm stumped.
Okay.
It's got two mobile homes, two VIN numbers. It's one parcel of property. I would suggest you probably want to retire those titles and just sell the land because the houses aren't going to be financeable.
It'd be easier to do it like that. And then Michael has kind of a similar question. He has a seller with a 1974 mobile home on 1.2 acres that wants to sell. He's asking if he should retire the mobile home first. It's in Polk County. We do retire the mobile home at closing if the buyer wants it retired, but with it being 1974.
So we can retire the titles no matter what the age of the mobile home is.
Okay.
So if if the titles are wanting, if they're wanting the titles to be retired, we can absolutely do that. There are pros and cons to retiring the titles, especially with a home that is older like that. So if you retire a mobile home, it is part of the property. If you ever wanted to have the mobile home demoed or removed from the land, you're going to have to unretire the mobile home titles. And the person whose name the titles were retired in is the only one that can do that. So it can become an issue, and we've seen a lot of this. We've had a lot of conversations with the tag offices lately where they're seeing this a lot as well. Um, people are having to go back and find whoever's name. So say you have it retired and then it sells. If it's retired in the seller's name that currently owns the property, and 10 years down the road that mobile home isn't inhabitable, there's no reason for it to be on the land, and they're wanting to remove it. In order to remove it, the titles have to be active again. So they're going to have to unretire it and then demo it, and that they're gonna have to go back to the seller on that transaction whose names the titles were retired in to get that done. So it
I think
can
you've done a
be.
great job of telling us why not to mess with this stuff on our own.
Yeah, it gets really confusing. We're actually having our buyers and sellers, if the lender is just not taking no for an answer and wanting the titles retired prior to closing, we're having everybody sign documents and hold harmless, knowing that they are aware that if they wanted to go back and have it unretired, they're gonna have to, it's to have it retired prior to closing, it has to be retired in the seller's name because they currently own the property. So, and the titles. So if later on they wanted to do that, we're having them sign documents letting us know they know that it's being retired in the seller's name, and they're gonna have to go back later on and find them if they want to do anything with the titles. So it gets really, really messy.
Yeah.
Hey, Cindy,
When
can
they
you go
die.
over the pros of having it retired, or is that in a couple of slides?
No, so I do have more information on it, but I can go ahead and give some information. So there
Okay.
are definitely pros to having it retired. So when it is retired, it's treated like a single family residential home. You do not have to go down and pay taxes on it. You don't have to have the registration renewed each year. You don't have to, if you sell it from that point on, you do not have to have it, the titles transferred. So it doesn't actually have to be transferred from owner to owner from that point. It's treated like a single family residence on a piece of property that's going to be transferring with the deed, just like you would a normal transaction. So there's definitely a pro to having it retired. It's just if you ever wanted to unretire it, it can be a total pain. All right, so, and now we're getting into the retiring a mobile home. So in June of 2004, the method of retiring the mobile or manufactured home titles was created. And next page. All right, so to retire a mobile home, we're gonna have to have the original titles. If we don't have them, we have to get duplicate titles first because we have to have the actual title in our hand. We're going to do a retirement affidavit, which we fill out on our end for you guys. We're putting all the information there, whose name it's being retired in, and then we're having it signed, notarized, and then we are recording that along with the original titles of public record. Once it's retired, or I'm sorry, once it's recorded, then we are going to we're going to fill out an application of retirement for the mobile home titles. And we're going to take all of those recorded documents along with that application to the HSMV. And we're going to, they're basically going to retire it in their system. And then they take those original titles and destroy them. There's no longer a title to the mobile home. All right, next question. So here's an example of the, or next slide, sorry. Here's an example of the mobile home retirement affidavit. So as you can see on this screen, it's showing that it's going to put the names of who it's going to be retired in. It's going to have the parcel number. It's going to have the identifying the property address information, the legal description. We're gonna have all of the mobile home title information on it, so the VINs, the title numbers, all of the make, model, and then it's gonna be signed. So when we record this, all of this mobile home information is recorded a public record. If you ever see one of these in the public records for a property, so say you're if you were searching the name of an owner of a mobile home or a property that might have a mobile home in the official records of the clerk site, and you saw an affidavit and pulled it up and this is what it looks like. This is this is basically telling you that those mobile homes at one point have been retired. Not always 100% true, because this could be retired, but if the process was never finished, or this could be recorded, but if the process was never finished and the recorded docs weren't taken to the tag office to be formally retired, then those titles are still out there, even if this is recorded. But this is a great indication that the titles are actually retired. If you guys ever wanted to know if mobile home titles were retired or what you were dealing with up front, reach out to Megan. She can send it over to us. We can very quickly just research the information that you're sending to us and let you know these are retired. This is what would need to be done, or these are not retired. They're in this person's name. This is what you're going to have to do to have it transferred or moved to the next owner.
I'm just scratching my head thinking about an agent that has a customer that says, "Hey, would you do me a favor and handle this mobile home for me?" And the agent says, "Sure, I will." And they have no clue what they're getting into.
Well, we're here for that. If you guys ever have
Exactly.
any of those, send it over. We love them. All right, so real property stickers. So real property stickers are proof that the mobile or manufactured home is already taxed as real property. So they're issued when the mobile home is tied down and connected to the normal and usual utilities, and the owner of the home is also the owner of the land on which the residence is situated. So this is where it comes into play with the if they are in a mobile home park and they aren't on a piece of land, so a co-op. So if you have a mobile home in a co-op, they don't own the land. They only own the mobile home that's sitting on the land. So you cannot technically you cannot retire, or I'm sorry, you cannot have a mobile home in a co-op declared real property because they don't own both.
And it's
Um,
literally a sticker. Like my boat has an FL sticker on it. It's a sticker
mhm.
that goes to the window. Boom.
Yep, it's a real property sticker. So, and they're when it's declared real property, they're gonna give us that sticker. It's going to have to be placed in the lower corner of the window closest to the street or road providing access. So whenever you guys are driving by a mobile home, if you look on that mobile home in the corner of the window, you're very likely going to see that sticker. That's a real property sticker. If a mobile home is not real property, so it has not been declared real property, that means that they are going to be paying taxes annually with their registration being renewed on the mobile home every year. Um, if it is, so if it's real property, it's normally a black RP decal sticker with a yellow sticker on it. For the mobile homes that are not real property, it's gonna be a different color sticker for each year. And it's gonna have a sticker with the year on it, just like you would, like you said, on your boat or on your
Sure.
license plate for your vehicle. It's gonna have that same number sticker that has to be placed there every year, and that's showing that your registration has been renewed for the mobile home and taxes paid. All right, next page. All right, so and that this is what we kind of just went over. So permanent versus annual RP decals. So a mobile home that is permanently affixed to the land is going to have the one-time RP sticker, real property sticker, affixed to the home. So they aren't going to have to go down each year and renew the taxes, do anything with it. It's there, it's real property. It's part of the land and it's going to transfer with that. The titles though if it's real property, the titles are still gonna have to be transferred. And I have a better page on the retirement versus real property in just a minute, but because I know that can get so confusing for a lot of people. If the mobile home has not been declared real property, there's a different colored sticker for each year, and you're gonna have to renew each year, much like you would a vehicle. All right, next page. Okay, so here's an example of the difference between the permanent RP and then the annual decal sticker. So the permanent RP is up at the top. You've got the black with the yellow RP sticker. It's got that RP on it, which shows real property, and it still has your decal numbers, so we could look up a VIN number if we needed to with that information. The blue sticker at the bottom is an annual decal. The blue was from a couple years ago. That's not current. And it's gonna match so when they get the registration, when they renew each year, just like you would with your vehicle, at the top, it's gonna have the little sticker with the year on it. You're gonna take that off, put it on the blue decal or the annual decal, and they're gonna put it in that same bottom corner of the window that they would the real property sticker. All right, so knowing the difference. So real property versus retirement and mobile homes. They are definitely not the same thing. A lot of people think that they are, and it can get kind of squirrely because if you think a mobile home is retired, but it's only real property and you have it's transferred, or I'm sorry, it's sold, just because it's real property doesn't mean it's automatically transferring to a new owner. If it's retired, it is going to automatically transfer to the new owner. So with real property in Florida, the owner of a mobile home can apply for the titles to be considered real property if they own the land on which it sits and if the mobile home is permanently affixed to said land. As real property, the mobile home is taxed with the land, not separately. So real property has to do with how the mobile home is taxed. It has nothing to do with the titles themselves. Retiring mobile home titles, the difference is once a mobile home is considered real property and has been declared real property by the property appraiser, the owner has the option to retire the mobile home titles. This results in the mobile home transferring with the deed for future transactions, and the titles for the mobile home would be canceled by the DMV. So real property has to do with taxes. Retiring the mobile home has to do with the titles themselves. You cannot retire a mobile home until it has been declared real property. All right, next page. All right, so I know we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but so many lenders are requiring that the mobile home titles be retired. A lot of them are okay with it being retired at or after closing, which is what we do. We do it within 30 days past the closing, which is what is required by the state of Florida. So you also have some that are just adamant that you're doing it prior to the closing. They want those titles retired before they will even think about actually issuing the loan or the mortgage on the property. So when the titles are retired, the mobile or manufactured home automatically becomes part of the land. The titles no longer have to be transferred, and the home is going to be transferred with the deed on the property. The owners don't have to keep track of or pay for duplicate titles and transfers. And then if, again, if it goes to foreclosure, or if something happens with the or with the property, or the payments are defaulted on the mortgage, that retirement it makes sure that that mobile home is part of the land. No matter what happens going forward, it's going to be a part of it.
Yeah, if they didn't pay the taxes or anything else, they probably didn't pay the registration fees either.
Right. So this is something new that we're doing, the hold harmless. So if the lender's requiring the mobile homes be retired prior to closing, a lot of people will not do this. We are now offering to do it. We just have to have that hold harmless signed by all parties, letting them know that it's going to be retired in the seller's name, and that if anything ever happened later on where they wanted to unretire the mobile home, it's going to have to be done by the seller or whoever's name the titles were retired in.
If they're alive.
Right. If not, then it's probate. You've got to get their heirs. You got to go through all of that. So it can get really messy. But as long as they're okay with that, and 99% of people are, we can retire it no problem prior to closing. And then the lender is good. They're happy. Everything will move on perfectly with closing. All right, so sales tax. So real property sticker decals are important because they are how you can confirm proof of payment of taxes. And it goes back to where if it's real property, the mobile home is taxed with the land. So that black sticker with the yellow RP decal on it, that is showing, and if it's real property in the tax collector system, that's letting them know it's taxed with the land. We don't have to worry about the owners coming in each year, paying their taxes, renewing that registration. We're getting our taxes when they pay through the tax collector at the end of the year, and they get that tax bill, the mobile home is included. If the mobile home is not considered real property, then that is how they know that if they're going by, or if we're looking, we can see the year that shows, okay, the taxes were paid for this year. If you have, just like a vehicle, if it shows an expiration of, 2/24, then if it's 3/24, you know that it hasn't been renewed, or maybe they just forgot, or the sticker's not there yet. But that shows that the registration hasn't been renewed, taxes aren't up to date on the vehicle, same as a mobile home. And we can see all of this information as well in the DMV's database. So title must still be transferred even if there is an RP sticker, unless properly retired. I know I keep saying that, but it's such a big difference, and it's really important because these two really do get confused. All right, next page. Okay, so transferring the titles. So if we are going to be transferring the titles, you have to provide proof of a current RP or annual sticker. So there's your proof right there. First thing, taxes are caught up, everything is current with the mobile home. Then we're going to need the original certificate of title for each side of the mobile home or manufactured home. So again, if it's a single wide, you're going to have one title. If it's a double wide, two, triple wide, three, and so on. And then we're going to need confirmation from the Florida Department of Highway Safety Motor Vehicle that the title is registered in the name of the seller or mortgager, and disclose any liens against the title. So we can see that when we look it up. Sometimes normally if there's a lien on the mobile home title, it's gonna show the lien on that original certificate of title for the mobile home. Sometimes we don't have those available. The owners have lost the titles, they've misplaced them, they have no idea where they're at. They never actually got original titles when they purchased the mobile home years back. That's okay. We can go into the DMV system and it will let us know if there's a lien on the property. And then if there is a lien, we're gonna require that there's a satisfaction and release of any liens on the title prior to us transferring or retiring the mobile home. And we can take care of the entire lien release process on those as well. All right, so go to the next page. Oh, okay, so if the titles are lost, don't fear, we can get duplicate titles. There's an additional fee for it, just because we're having to go in and we're getting those titles reprinted through the DMV site. It's going to be exactly what was on the original title. It's just going to be reprinted. It can only be obtained by the owner of the mobile or manufactured home, or the lender of said home if there's a lien on the title, and it's going to be stamped and noted as a duplicate copy. We're able to get these because we have anybody that we're dealing with a mobile home title on sign a POA for us to be able to handle all of this that we've talked about on your behalf. One thing to note with duplicate titles, and we actually had this situation arise recently, where the owner of the mobile home thought they had lost their titles. They applied to get a duplicate title, and the duplicate title was issued. Well, they lost the duplicate title, but in the interim found their original title that they thought they had lost. Those original titles were no longer valid, because once a new title is printed and issued in the DMV system, any titles prior to that had been printed are no good. So we could not use that at all. We then had to get another duplicate title, and it can get frustrating, but we have to have the most recently issued original or duplicate title from the tag office to do any type of transfer. All right, next page. Okay, so new mobile homes. So with a new mobile home, you're not going to have an actual title issued yet most of the time. So there's going to be a statement of origin that is presented, that you get from the dealer of the manufactured home. And we're going to present that with an application for a certificate of title. And then we're going to be able to get the titles put into the buyer's name. So we're not going to need original titles if it's a brand new mobile home. We're going to need that statement of origin, and it's going to have all the same information on it, but that's how we get the actual title printed. All right. All right, so this is a big one. So and versus or when you're dealing with mobile homes and getting them transferred. And this is something that if you are dealing with a mobile home on a transaction, you're going to want to talk with your buyers about. Um, you can put, much like a vehicle or other things, you can put a title into name if there's multiple names on it using the word and, or you can use the word or. So owners joined by and indicates that owners share equal responsibility for the vehicle, mobile home, or vessel, and all owners must be present or have the title certificate signed by each owner as a seller in order for the title to be transferred out of their names. So if it's and, everybody listed on that title has to be involved with the sale of the mobile home. If there's two owners, one of them has passed away, you're gonna have to have probate for that second owner and their heirs are gonna have to be included. A lot of people have started wanting them joined by or, because if the owners are joined by or, it indicates that either owner can take individual responsibility for the vehicle, mobile home, or vessel, and either owner may be present or sign the bill of sale and or title to be transferred out of their names. So a lot of times if you have elderly couples, excuse me, you have elderly couples that are selling a mobile home, you want to put it in or they will specify that they want it in or, because if one of them passes away, it's going to automatically just transfer to the other owner and they don't have to deal with probate or anything like that to get it transferred out of their name or sell it or anything along those lines. Another example is we've had some elderly owners that wanted to put one of their children on the title with them. So it was a parent and a child. That way, when the parent passes away, the child does not have to worry about going through the court, getting all of the probate done, anything like that. They can automatically just go ahead and sell or transfer into their name only, do whatever they need to do with the mobile home to get it taken care of, instead of whereas if it was and, they would then have to get probate for the parent, go through all of that, the court documents and the court cases and everything like that, just to get the mobile home to be able to be transferred. So, all right. Any questions on that?
No, you're making me not want to sell a mobile home.
All right, so mobile or manufactured home exception. So it is possible to obtain title insurance on a property with an exception as to the mobile home. So we see this a lot of times if they can't find the titles to the mobile home. It's on the back of the property. Nobody even knows it's there. It's pretty much been demolished, but there's still a title connected to the property somewhere along the lines. They don't want to deal with it. They'll still want to transfer the title or sell the property and just not deal with it. We can do that. We put an exception on the title insurance policy that's going to say something along the lines of mobile homes or modular homes, whether attached or unattached, the real estate is not insured under the terms or of this binder policy. So the exception has to be disclosed and approved by the buyer and the lender if there's a lender on it, and the policy amount would not include the value of the mobile or manufactured home, but we can do it. Again, there's hold harmlesses involved, all sorts of stuff, but we can definitely get that done. Issue with that is if anything ever happened, or say the person who is on title to the mobile home found out they had a mobile home in their name, or they passed away and their heirs found out they had a mobile home in their name, those people could come back and cause issues wanting something done with, even if it's demolished and it's a bunch of just debris in the back of a field. They can come back and try to fight for it or say, well, you tore down our mobile home, or it can be an issue. So we don't like to see that all the time, but it is possible. All right, next page. Okay, so then we also have an ALTA endorsement that can be issued with your policy. Basically, it's just a secondary way of confirming that there is a mobile home on the property and it's going to have the information there. But that is an option. All right, next page. Okay, so this is where we come in. So everything we've talked about today, we can handle all of it. And if you guys need fees or anything like that, I can definitely get that out to Megan to send over. But basically we make it extremely seamless. It's part of your closing transaction. So before closing, you're gonna let the closer and the processor know there's a mobile home on the property, or they're gonna see there's a mobile home on the property. They're gonna send it over to us. We're gonna provide a quote to get the mobile home transferred. So we're gonna do all of the upfront research. We're gonna find out if it's retired, if it's real property, whose name it's in, if there's a lien holder on it. We're going to find out exactly what needs to be done or how many transfers need to be done to get it into your buyer's name. And we're gonna lay out all of our fees and exactly what needs to be done in our quote, and then send that back to you guys. Once you have the quote, if you want us to proceed with the transfer of the mobile home or retirement of the mobile home, whichever way you'd like to do it, then those fees are gonna be added to your closing fees. It's not something that we collect up front if we are closing the file. And we're gonna, when we send that quote, we're gonna give you guys the POAs that we need signed by the buyer and the seller or any involved parties that have to be signed. So they're gonna be signed at closing. Once the closing is done, we're gonna get all of the documents that we need. And then we're gonna go ahead and get that mobile home transferred for you guys. And as soon as that's done, we're mailing out the new titles in the buyer's name or the retired documents if that's what they wanted done to the buyer, and they have all the documents that they need, and you guys don't ever have to touch it. Next page. Okay. So on this page here, this is a copy of our mobile home title request. So we would need all of this filled out as much as possible. You're gonna let us know if you want it retired versus transferred, all of the information that you have. If you don't have information or if you're needing us to research it, feel free to reach out. We do typically have a $75 research fee, but if it's just simple information, we're gonna try to get that over to you at no cost. We want to help out. We want you guys to know what you're dealing with when you're dealing with a mobile home.
And this document is something that title will do. So your closer and your processor will take care of this code and get that over to Sydney.
Yes. Yep. All right. And then these are all the documents that we are needing. So we're needing those power of attorney signed. We ask for multiple per party per side, because if we have to get a duplicate and then we have to transfer it and then we have to retire it, we need a power of attorney for every single transaction that we do for each person, for each title, for the tag office. So that's why we ask for multiples. We're needing the driver's licenses, the settlement statements, the deeds with the mobile home legal descriptions if available, original titles if available, and then if there's a lien, we need the lien information. Again, like Megan said, this is all stuff that your processor and closer at Florida Agency Network is handling. The only thing that we might need from you guys is your assistance with getting the original titles from the seller. If they don't have them at closing, or if we need to get in contact with them. Other than that, we're handling everything on Florida Agency Network and Network Transaction Solutions side. All right, next page. Okay, so this is something that we had a lot of realtors asking about. How do you advertise mobile homes? So mobile homes,
Let me just jump in. So a mobile home is not considered real property in some cases, in which case it can't be on the MLS. So that's where we're going with this.
yes, so they can't always be listed on MLS, and in that case, there is a really good website that some of our investors have provided to us where you can advertise a mobile home for sale or look for mobile homes that are for sale for your clients. And it's mhvillage.com. And there's quite a few listings on there, but that's a really good place. A lot of the other places that they are using to sell and purchase mobile homes and advertise for them are as simple as Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, because you can't, again, put them on MLS. So it makes it a little more difficult to advertise for them. But that mobile home mhvillage.com is a great start for advertisement for them. All right, and then I put a couple of links in here, which I know Megan, you said you were going to send this out. So these are the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles has a ton of information, Florida statutes for the mobile homes, and then property appraiser sites. It's a great thing to have because you can always look at that to see what the usage code is, to see if you might be dealing with a mobile home on the property. With the property appraiser, you can also click on their interactive maps, where it shows the property right there at the top of the screen on most sites for counties. And you can actually zoom in on a satellite image and see if it looks like there's a mobile home on the property. And then that's it. That's all I have. Does anybody have any other questions?
I think Mark said it best. What I learned today is refer out any mobile home business. But I think
Well,
to
we
make
are
it
here.
more fair, send it to you guys, right? If you want to help somebody out, you know, it's not your expertise. Like Lisa Stillo has made a career out of this, and she double sides most all of her deals. Does she use you guys, Megan?
She has in the a couple months ago we did a deal for her, not consecutively, but we do have a couple from her.
But a lot of times she runs to the DMV herself and she does all this background work because it does cost money. But
Mhm.
I'll tell you what, it's better. You know, it's like the story that they tell. You're not paying me to turn the screw. You're paying me to know which screw to turn.
Yeah.
Right. And it took years of training to get that. So that's the key. So we don't just go out there and sell a mobile home. There's a lot more behind the scenes. So anything came out of this, it was for me. There's a lot more behind the scenes that if you don't know what you're doing, stay away from it, turn it over to the pros.
Yeah. Take the deal,
That's
but send it over to us. We'll answer all your questions. If you don't know, send me a text, give me a call. We'll answer quickly. I'll get with Sydney. The mobile home department that we have is very communicative and they answer our questions very quickly. So if you guys need anything, let me know and I will reach out. It's not my expertise either. I ask the mobile home department tons of questions when we have mobile homes. So if you have questions, we can get those. I'm not going to know most of them, but that's why we have that department.
Perfect.
Well, and just like a couple of the questions that were asked today, I don't have the information readily available, but I will get it for you guys if you'll send that over to Megan or myself. My email is on the screen. Because mobile homes can be so tricky and there's so much to them. It's always changing. If we don't have an answer right away, we have all of the contacts that do.
Absolutely. And I did write down those questions. So I'm going to send those, the 3 that we couldn't answer. I'm going to send those to Sydney. And I wrote down who asked them. So I will get you guys answers.
Perfect.
Perfect.
All
Well,
right.
thank
You
you
guys
very much,
have a
ladies.
wonderful day. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Sydney. That was amazing.
That was great.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
Okay,
You
thank
too.
you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.